All right, today we're going to tackle two of the biggest ideas out there, period. Ideas that literally shape our entire world, liberty and rights. Now, they sound simple enough, right? But believe me, the way they connect, that's where things get really, really interesting. So let's just start with a big one, a question people have been wrestling with forever. What does it truly mean to be free? I mean, really think about it. Is it just about being left alone to do your thing? Or is it something more, like having the actual ability to go out and achieve your goals? All right, to get to the bottom of this, let's first try to get a handle on that huge aspirational idea, liberty itself. Okay, so at its most basic level, liberty is the state of being free from oppressive restrictions. It's about being able to act on your own will without somebody else, usually, the government, stopping you for no good reason. The key words here really are oppressive restrictions. Liberty is basically your space to just be you. But here's the thing, liberty isn't just this one big blob of an idea. It's actually a whole collection of freedoms. You've got natural liberty. That's kind of the hypothetical freedom you'd have in a state of nature with zero rules. Then you get to the more practical stuff, civil liberty, your freedom of speech, political liberty, the power to vote or run for office, economic liberty, so you can start a business, and even moral liberty, which is the freedom to follow your own conscience. Okay, but this is where the plot thickens, because it turns out there are two really fundamental and, sometimes competing ways to think about what freedom actually is. So, on one hand, you have what's called negative liberty. The easiest way to think about this is freedom from interference. It's about the government not stepping in, not telling you what to believe. It's your bubble of non-interference. But then, on the other hand, you have positive liberty, and this is all about freedom too. This idea says, hey, it's not enough to just be left alone. You need the actual capacity to do things. So, for example, you might have the freedom from censorship to read any book you want, but is that real freedom if you were never taught how to read in the first place? And the philosopher Isaiah Berlin, who really made this distinction famous, put it perfectly. He said the essence is freedom from versus freedom to. I love this analogy. It's like the difference between a door being unlocked, that's negative liberty, and you actually having the strength and ability to push it open and walk through. That's positive liberty. See the difference? Okay, so if liberty is this big, sometimes fuzzy concept, how in the world do we make it real? How do we lock it down and make sure it's there for everyone? Well, that's where our second huge idea comes into play. Rights. And this is so important. Rights aren't just, hopeful wishes. They are justified claims or entitlements. Think of them as the specific, concrete, enforceable rules that stop our freedoms from getting trampled on. Rights are what give liberty its teeth. They make it bite. So what actually makes a right? A right? Well, a few things. First, it's got to be guaranteed by law. It's written down somewhere, it's official. Second, the whole point is to make sure everyone is treated with dignity and equality. And third, and this part is absolutely crucial, your right creates a duty for other people and for the state to respect it. My right to speak means you have a duty not to shut me down. And just like our idea of liberty, our concept of rights hasn't been static. Not at all. It has grown and evolved over hundreds of years, with each new idea building on the last. You can actually trace this amazing evolution. It starts way back with thinkers like John Locke and this radical idea of natural rights, that you're just born with rights to life, liberty, and property, and government doesn't give them to you. Then you have guys like Jeremy Bentham who come along and say, whoa, hold on, a right is only real if it's a legal right, something written in the law. And all of that thinking eventually leads us to the modern concept of human rights, the idea that every single person has rights, no matter where they're from, just because they're human. And today, we even break these rights down into what we call generations. The first generation rights are those classic civil and political rights. Think freedom from the state, freedom of speech, the right to vote. Then you have second generation rights, which are all about the freedom to do things, like the right to an education or to healthcare. And now we're even talking about third generation rights, these big collective rights we all share, like the right to a healthy planet. All right, so we've got liberty on one side and we've got rights on the other. Now for the main event, seeing how they fit together, because this is where the magic happens. Honestly, if there's one single thing to take away from all this, it's this right here. Liberty is the goal. It's the beautiful, aspirational thing we're all aiming for. But rights? Rights are the roadmap. They're the steel framework, the foundation that actually lets us build a society where liberty isn't just a dream, but a reality. And here's a super simple, real-world example that makes it all click. Your liberty to do what you want might mean blasting music at 3 in the morning. But wait, what about your neighbor's right to a peaceful night's sleep? See? Absolute liberty gets messy. Rights are the rules of the road that help us balance things out so my freedom doesn't completely destroy yours. Because let's be real, liberty without rights is just an idea floating in the wind. It's insecure. It can be snatched away in a heartbeat by someone with more power. Rights are what give liberty that solid structure. They're what make freedom real. They make it enforceable. Which brings us to a final thought, a big question for right now. Our world is changing so fast, right? We've got AI, global social networks, a changing climate. All of these things pose brand new threats and maybe new opportunities for our liberty. So the question we have to ask ourselves is this: what new rights do we need to come up with to make sure our freedoms are protected for the future?